Hey everyone, how's it going? Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com. I am being joined by members of the NoDQ panel, Virtue, as well as the sensation, Greg Cherry. You're known all over the world, Greg, so you're not just the PA sensation, you're just the sensation everywhere. You are the sensation. And Virtue, glad to have you on as usual. So today we have the NXT Chicago card to discuss. We will be doing our predictions and breaking down this card. As of this video, we only have 4 matches. I'm assuming they will add a 5th match to the show unless these 4 matches just go really long. But I'm guessing they'll add something. And Virtue, overall, what do you think of this card? Are you excited for it? Anything in particular you're looking forward to?
I'm excited for Rude versus Atami because it's in Chicago and Atami does the go to sleep. So, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but that match alone, and the fact that these NXT Takeover events are only a couple hours and we don't have to sit through a grueling, long 3-4 hour pay-per-view, that match alone I'm excited to. So everything leading up to it, I'll just be hyped up to watch that main event.
Right. What about you, Greg?
I'm looking forward to the tag team title ladder match between DIY and the Authors of Pain. The Authors of Pain have really grown on me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fact that Paul Ellering is with them or what it is, but I really enjoyed them. I enjoy their theme music. I think it's badass. And DIY is obviously fantastic, so I think it's going to be a great match.
Yeah, so the 4 official confirmed matches are all title matches. We have 4 title matches. Really solid card, actually. And in Chicago, this should be a really strong show. Chicago's usually one of the top WWE cities, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun as usual. NXT's almost always a great show. Kicking it off, we have the UK Championship match being defended on the pay-per-view. We have Tyler Bate defending against Pete Dunne. I think that this will be a very entertaining match. I'm predicting a title change personally. I think that Tyler Bate, he's been all right as the champion, but I think that Pete Dunne is a guy that a lot of people have high hopes for, and I think that him as a heel champion would be very entertaining. So I'm going with Pete Dunne to win the title. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I could see a title change here. I mean, Tyler Bate almost has that TJ Perkins syndrome from when he won the Cruiserweight Championship. It's like he's talented, yes, but not a lot of people know who he is. So they went for a title change with people who they're more familiar with. TJ Perkins lost, of course, to the Brian Kendrick, and I think the Bruiserweight's going to take it here. What do you think, Virtue?
I'm going to go with Tyler Bate because I think there's going to be some other championship changes during this show. So I think they're going to wait on that one a little bit longer. I'm not really too excited about this match. And truth be told, and everybody can throw the hate at me, I did not watch that UK Championship tournament. I've seen some highlights here and there, but so I'm really going into watching this match to hopefully like one of these guys because I like watching new wrestlers and following them going forward. So I'm kind of excited about that. I would assume they might open the show with this match. I don't know, but no title change here in my opinion.
That's a very solid point, but I think because Pete Dunne is a guy that I sense the fans already are more invested in him than Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate's really young. He still has his whole career ahead of him. I just feel like of the two of them, Pete Dunne has a little bit more personality and a little bit more character, and I think there'll be a title change. But this one could really go either way. I mean, I would not be surprised if Tyler Bate retained the title. Next up, we have the ladder match for the NXT Tag Team Championships, as we talked about a few moments ago. The Authors of Pain defending against Do It Yourself, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. This should be a really fun match. Virtue, I'll start with you. What are your predictions for this?
I'm going with DIY, representing Cleveland, Johnny Gargano. And here's the thing. I'm looking at the tag team division now in NXT, and you have, DIY. They're wrestlers. They're smaller guys, so to speak. All the other tag teams now that are stirring up over there, and even if you include Sanity, they're big, bullish tag teams. So I think putting the title belts back on DIY and having all these other big teams challenging them, and I know Aaron might say, well, we like the underdog approach with the smaller guys. Not in this case, because NXT, it's all about the wrestling aspect. So I think you put it on the wrestlers and have the big bullish tag teams be the one to do the heel moves, chase for the titles all summer long. So I'm going with DIY, and I really like Gargano.
Well, here's a question for you, Greg, and I'll get your prediction as well. What major tag team do you see next in line? I think that would have an influence on who might win this match. Which team do you see going for the tag team titles next?
Well, they've been trying to build up Heavy Machinery, which makes you think that they would be the next to challenge the Authors of Pain. But in my opinion, Sanity hasn't gone after any championship at all, and they would need a babyface tag team to go after. And I think DIY is going to win this because I think they would have the edge in a match like a ladder match. And really, it saves the Authors of Pain a loss, like a clean pinfall or submission loss in a ladder match, so they won't really lose any steam because of it.
Now, Greg, with that said, if Sanity ends up getting title shots down the road, what two do you think? You think it'll be Killian Dane and Wolf?
Yep, I think it'll be those two. I think Eric Young is the clear leader of the group, and I think once a babyface becomes NXT champion, that Eric Young will have a shot down the line. Because, like I said, he's the clear leader of the group, so I think Dana and Wolf will be the ones to chase for the tag team titles. Because Nikki Cross is challenging for the women's championship at this show, which I'm sure is the next one coming up. So,
well, that is a very solid prediction. I think it makes a lot of sense for DIY to win here. Like you said, Authors of Pain can lose this match without actually being pinned or made to submit, and this is a match that is more of DIY's specialty. I think that's a very great point, and I'm going with that. I'm going with DIY to capture the tag team titles here. This should be a really fun match. And next up, we have the NXT Women's Championship, which was originally supposed to be a fatal four-way match. Asuka defending against Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross. Ember Moon was originally supposed to be in this match, but she got injured. She's out of the match. Now, my prediction over the past few months, I figured that Ember Moon would be the person to eventually beat Asuka for the title. So people have asked me, what is my prediction for this match? I think Asuka's retaining. I think it's still going to be Ember Moon that beats her for the title at some point. I think maybe if they had done this fatal four-way match, there would have been a title change with Asuka not taking the fall, and that way she can say, hey, Ember Moon never beat me in the ring. She beat somebody else, and that could set up a rematch. And then Asuka loses the one-on-one match and goes to the main roster. I'm guessing Asuka will be on the main roster before the year is over. That's my prediction. So I'll start with you, Virtue. What are your predictions for this match?
So, in thinking that Ember Moon is not in this match now, and if she's legitimately hurt, is she going to make an appearance at all? And could she distract Asuka to allow like a Nikki Cross to pin Ruby Riott? But I just can't pull myself to go with that. So, yes, I will say Asuka will retain, and then when Ember Moon comes back, that'll set the table for her to be the one to finally end Asuka's streak. I don't know when Asuka would get called up to WWE, maybe not even until the call-ups next year after WrestleMania, but I think it would be okay for her to win a little bit longer and then finally lose to Ember Moon, and who knows how they can have the finish to that match. But I already disagreed with you guys in the first match, but I'll agree. I'll go with Asuka. Greg?
Yeah, I feel like it's the WrestleMania predictions all over again where we agree for most of them. I'm going with Asuka, too. I think Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross are going to fight each other to the point where they take each other out and Asuka just takes advantage. Because Asuka, remember at the last NXT Takeover special, was acting kind of heelish. And I think she's moving towards that where she's getting really cocky as champion, and she's been champion for over a year now, so she really has earned that right to do so. So I think Asuka's going to retain. I think she holds it until the NXT Takeover special the night before SummerSlam.
I agree.
Now, I wouldn't be opposed going forward if we're wrong on some of these predictions, and if Nikki Cross wins the women's title down the road, Eric Young wins the NXT title, and then the other couple guys win the tag titles, and Sanity looks legit with all the titles. I would actually love that storyline, but that's going back to like NWO time and WCW. But I mean, it would be very interesting. It would really make that look strong. I just wanted to throw that in there.
That would be a very interesting storyline, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, what do you want to say before we move on?
I was going to say, I also wouldn't be surprised if NXT pulled a little swerve on us and maybe had Ruby Riott pin Nikki Cross and win the championship that way. I'm not going to I'm pretty sold on Asuka, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a title change.
Yeah, I mean, you
So
never
we all
know.
have we all have Oscar, but we all have our little back pocket scenario. I like that.
Yeah. All right, so finally we have the NXT Championship match. We have the glorious one, Bobby Roode defending against Hideo Itami. You guys mentioned earlier it's in Chicago. Itami is talking about on Twitter how he's going to use the GTS. I find this to be really interesting. I mean, I have this fear that the fans are going to chant CM Punk, even though it's Itami's move that CM Punk started using, which is really funny. What do you think about the crowd reaction? How do you think the crowd's going to react? Do you think they'll chant CM Punk? What do you think, Greg?
Well, they're going to chant CM Punk anyway because it's Chicago and they can't get over themselves. But, I was thinking it was going to be Roode. I was thinking Roode was going to hold the championship for a long time. But thinking about it, I'm going to go with Itami. As strange as it seems, I think Itami might win the championship using the GTS in Chicago, which would be funny. But I think they want to give the shot to Itami. I think they wanted to give the shot to Itami before he got hurt both times and before Shinsuke came in. I think they really wanted to build Hideo Itami as one of the next big things in NXT, and this is their opportunity to do so. So I think they're going to take the chance.
What do you think, Virtue?
As much as I would love to pick Hideo Itami here in the whole Chicago scenario, and they are going to chant CM Punk. So the way I'm looking at it is it's really the pressure is going to be on Roode to be that heel to get that crowd to not think CM Punk and chant Itami or anything else, even if it's glorious. And that's not really a heel move. But I want to go with Itami, Greg, but I'm having this last second decision making, and I'm going to actually pick Roode. Roode's going to retain it. I think Itami coming back from all the injuries, and I just don't think he's had enough time back yet to get the belt right away. And I'm going to go with Roode continuing the glorious dominance.
That's a great point. I'm really torn for this one. I mean, the whole situation with Itami being injured, I think that makes it a little bit more difficult to predict. Because you would think that of the two of them, I mean, Itami's been there longer than Roode, so you would think that Itami's, of the two of them, going to be the next one called up. But at the same time, he got hurt, and you would think that WWE would want to test the waters with him more and see how he does for a while and see if he can go for several months without getting injured. So right now, I'm not really sure how this is going to go. I could see it going either way. I could see Itami winning the title, but at the same time, I could also see Roode retaining. And, if I had to predict a guy that ends up beating Roode, maybe somebody like Drew McIntyre, although I could see Drew McIntyre going for the UK title at some point also. That's another reason why I think Pete Dunne's going to win. Maybe Drew McIntyre will challenge him for the UK title. But I definitely see this feud continuing one way or another. So I think this is just the start. I think it's SummerSlam we're going to have the blow-off. My original prediction was that Roode was going to come in after SummerSlam to the main roster, which would mean Itami wins, and then Itami wins the rematch and sends Roode packing at SummerSlam. Or they could just have Roode retain in controversial fashion here, and then at SummerSlam Itami wins and Roode goes back, goes up to the main roster or whatever. I'm not sure who to go with on this one. I'm going to lean towards Roode retaining, but Itami winning, like Greg said, I think would be a cool moment in Chicago, winning with the GTS. This one, I'm going to go with Roode, but I'm very close on it. So that's my pick. Now, any final thoughts? Virtue, I'll start with you. What do you think? What do you think in terms of there possibly being a fifth match? And if so, what would that be?
Well, I would imagine it's got to be something with Sanity. I don't know if they're gonna. They might throw another tag team match out there, and then they can get Wolf and Killian Dane both out there. Eric Young can accompany them. Maybe they'll go against Heavy Machinery. I don't know, but I would think that it has something to do with Sanity, and I will put my prediction, if there is a fifth match after this video, on social media. I'm sure Aaron and Greg will too, so we can actually have our official prediction on that fifth match before it starts, and when we do the review, we can see what we get right out of 5. I want to go back. I did say there'd be a couple title changes after I talked about that first match, but I only chose one with DIY, so thanks, Greg, for picking Itami, because I think you changed my mind, and I have to go with Roode now. There's something about it, not against you, but I'm just having that feeling that Roode's going to sneak it in.
There you go. Any final thoughts, Greg, on a possible fifth match?
I think they're going to have something involving Sanity too, whether it's a six-man tag or what it is. And I don't know why they get the short end of the stick, that they don't get too much build-up. But you figure I would have to have Sanity against Roderick Strong and perhaps him teaming with McIntyre and Cassius Ohno.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But I figure you would want to get Drew McIntyre on this card somewhere, because you just had him in the crowd at the last NXT Takeover special, much like Rude was last year.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You would think that there would be some spot for Drew McIntyre. So, yeah, maybe they'll do Sanity versus the group of baby faces, Chris Hero and McIntyre, and Roderick Strong, put those guys in a six-person tag or something like that. I could definitely see that happening. Last thing, you mentioned McIntyre being in the crowd. That seems to be a running theme at these NXT events. There's like a newcomer that shows up in the crowd. Last thing before we wrap this up, who do you guys think we might see? I mean, there's been a lot of speculation about a certain a certain former ROH champion who just got kicked out of the Bullet Club last night. He might end up showing up at the pay-per-view. What do you think, Virtue?
Yeah, I'm assuming we're talking about Mr. Cole here. I don't know if it's gonna. There'll probably be a takeover event close around SummerSlam weekend.
Yeah. So
I don't know if we're going to see anybody. I'm going to say nobody, and I'm going to say the SummerSlam takeover event is when we might see a guy sitting in the crowd. That's what I'm going to call. Greg?
What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I don't think they're going to. I mean, it is Chicago, so maybe they will bring in somebody to pop the crowd, but I don't see it happening. I think the card will sell itself, and we'll just have a great show.
Yeah. If we see anybody, I think it'll be Adam Cole. But that'll wrap it up for our thoughts on the NXT Takeover Chicago pay-per-view. We will have predictions for the Backlash pay-per-view coming up very shortly, so stay tuned for that. And let's get the plugs out now. Start with you, Greg.
All right, the Sensational Experience right here on this channel. Check out the previous episodes. Check out the new episodes coming out. I'll have a Backlash, Best Backlash matches show right before the pay-per-view, so probably Saturday afternoon time frame. So check that out. Check out all the episodes and send in some questions so I can answer them.
Absolutely. Twitter.com/PA Sensation. You guys can send him questions. And for those of you that have not checked out his videos, you definitely should. I mean, at this point, he's more popular than the rest of us. He's got the most popular series on NoDQ.com right now. Look at the like to dislike ratio. So you guys should definitely check out his videos. And Virtue, go ahead with your plugs.
Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. And I just recently posted the NXT report column. So go check that out, and you're going to see who my top 5 favorite NXT wrestlers are and female wrestlers are. And I briefly talk about the tag team division as well. So that's on the NoDQ opinion section.
Sounds good. And, of course, for Raw and SmackDown, I do the live commentary. Virtue is a big part of that. Virtue, you're currently the second most commented person on NoDQ Discuss. So
as long as I'm on there every Raw and SmackDown, I'm just going to keep feeding it. So come join me with the discussion.
Come join the chat. At the bottom of every post on NoDQ, there's the Discuss comments. You guys can send in your comments and questions. And, Greg, I haven't seen you on there much lately.
I know. I'm never home. To be honest, I'm barely home enough time to do this. I'm lucky it's a weekend, so.
All right, well, hopefully maybe we can get you in there for like the big pay-per-view Backlash or something. Get some comments in there.
Yeah, I can try to do that.
But anyways, thank you guys for checking out the video. Stay tuned for all the latest, and we will see you next time.